And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at Sherlock Case Connection from Lucky Duck Games. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the Sherlock show. I get people like it. It's just I watched an episode and thought it was not necessarily for me. But I was excited when I heard about this game because Lucky Duck has made a game called Chronicles of Crime, which is one of the best detective-based games out there. It uses QR codes and an app to walk you through, and it makes you feel like you're playing through a detective show like NCIS or Law and Order, something like that. And so adding that to an actual detective show from one of the most famous detectives in the world, the most famous detective in the world, I thought would be a slam dunk. I read the rules and I was like, oh, okay. Well, I got my hopes up because I thought this might be using QR codes and the app. There's no app needed. And in fact, this really doesn't have anything to do with you solving crimes. I mean, you are technically solving crimes, but instead you're placing cards next to each other, matching symbols. That's the game. Here's some more info. So there are 4 boards placed here on the table, and on top of these boards you're going to have thread cards that are placed there randomly, and on top of these you're going to put different tokens here, proof tokens, and there are 3 different types of proof tokens, which are forensic, witness, and cyber, which you will all never say over the course of the game. You'll say blue, yellow, and pink. Each person is going to start with a lead card, so I have this lead card here, some random person from the show, and on your turn, you are going to take 2 things off the same board. So you can take 2 of these tokens, or you can take 2 cards. You can take a card and a token. Now you're trying to match stuff on your lead here, so I might look here and say, well, this blue, I'll take that, plus this blue token, because I can put this here and make a direct connection. Boom! Pretty awesome. And then next turn, I might take this card and this token and put them here, and look, I made a yellow connection, but this has 2 icons, and a yellow and a pink. So that means one of them has to be a direct connection, the other has to be an indirect connection. What is an indirect connection? That means you use another card, say this card here, and now it's connected through another card, pink, 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 and I need to put a pink token, and now I just connected this entire card. Hooray! I get to keep this card. I get to keep 2 things of all the stuff that I have, so I might say I'll keep this pink and this one, and then I'm going to draw 2 more leads and pick one of those to be my next card. Well, this one's worth 3 points, so I guess I'll try for that one instead. Now, whenever you complete a connection also, if you have any card that's directly connected, you might get a bonus. Like, for example, here, I get a +1 point bonus for having that on the card. Bonuses might give you these tokens, which are wild connection tokens. And that is kind of the game. When you're done with your turn, you notice I didn't refill these. These are only refilled if after your turn's over, you're down to 1 thing on 2 boards. In that case, you will then replace everything that's open on all the boards. It's just randomly done. You keep going until someone reaches a certain number of points, which in this case is 9. And at that point, we go to the final endgame scoring, which might add some other points or whatever to it. And whoever has the most points is the winner. I really think the components are terrible for this game. These are just screenshots of the show. There's no rhyme or reason to what they are. As someone who's only seen 1 episode, this gives me no information about the story. These don't make me want to watch the show. But even worse, you're putting these on these backgrounds, which have no shading at them at all. It's really hard to see these cards. Sometimes a card, sometimes they pop. Like, look at this one, it pops. But even so, these icons on the side, the card quality is also really, really not very good. The rules are okay, I'll give them that, but the rest of it, meh. I hate everything about this game. I hate the fiddliness of having to put cards and tokens up every 3 turns in this game. Fill, token. I hate the idea of how bland this game is. I mean, you are literally grabbing a card that matches the one you have. If you can't find one that matches the one you have, then you pick the one that's kind of close, but there's always one that's going to probably match somehow, some way. Or you pick a card that has a lot of connections on it, stops your opponent or something, but you really just take the stuff you need. You can rearrange those cards in front of you anytime, so there's no pressure there. You just collect the cards until, boom, you can finish your card. I don't like that. I don't like that the game goes on longer than it should, which feels weird because, you know, the cards are 2 and 3 points and you're only going for 9, but it's like, I will take some cards. I will take some cards. I will take some cards. I finished a card. I will take some cards. I will take some cards. And it just goes on ad nauseum until somebody pulls ahead of everybody else. The bonuses aren't very interesting. There's no story here. You might say to me, well, Tom, you're not a fan of Sherlock, something I made clear at the beginning. But even if I'm not a fan of the show, this game should make me want to be a fan of the show. It should give me at least some hint of a story, not just what seemingly seems to be a bunch of random screenshots put on top of some other random screenshots. But what annoys me the most over everything else is the fact that this is a company who has put out some of the best deduction games in the world. And here they're kind of slandering the good name of Sherlock Holmes. That's what it feels like here. This feels like they had this game, or they got this license to use this Sherlock case connection. They wanted to slap something in the air to get in mass market stores, and so they did. Now, you might say, hey, Tom, you know, the Chronicles of Crime is a complicated game, but it doesn't have to be. It can be a simplified game. I know this because they made a version for children. And they made kids' games that are very simple and are fantastic. This could have been something along those lines. It doesn't have to be with the app. It could have just been somehow in the game itself. But this is very much a bait and switch. People are going to get this and be like, I'd be like Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes wouldn't play this game. Neither would Watson or anyone else in the show, except the villain would probably get people to play it. Moriarty is in charge. Okay, I've gone off on a rabbit trail. The fact of the matter is this. Don't get this game. I can't recommend it to anyone. If you like the show, and I played it with people who were fans of the show, it does nothing. If you're not a fan of the show, it does even less than that. I cannot in good conscience say good things about a game that clearly feels like it was pulled from a drawer, had a license slapped on it, and thrown on the shelf to make money. That is not what I want our hobby to turn into. I want our hobby to make great games that people can play. Stuff like this ain't helping. I'm Tom Vasel. This has been Sherlock Case Connection on the Dice Tower. Dice Tower Judgment, cash grab.